Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. My name is Emeka Ogwonye. There is a breaking development in the media. Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of IPOB and the founder of ESN, was brought back to Nigeria on Sunday. That was what the Attorney General of Nigeria informed us, informed the public. Apparently, this is Tuesday, so he was in the country. He's been in the country since the past 2 days, but the government kept it secret. It also means that the processes of removing him from Europe was also done secretly, because if he was arrested openly and taken to any court or hearing in Britain or anywhere in Europe, that information would have leaked out. The fact that the Nigerian government was able to cover the whole operation and keep it secret until today that Nnamdi was brought to the Federal High Court in Abuja. The fact that they could keep it concealed for that length of time meant that it was a clandestine operation involving the British security forces. Because the first question that comes to mind, or came to the mind of many people when they heard that Nnamdi was arrested and brought to Nigeria, was, how did it happen? How was that possible? That's the question. Everybody wanted to know the process or procedure through which he was brought from UK to Nigeria. That process certainly did not involve any extradition hearing. Normally, when a country wants to extradite you to another country, you will have the right to challenge the extradition. That means they will take you to the court and hear you out and listen to you and finally decide whether to send you there. That's the case of Julian Assange of WikiLeaks. You will remember Julian Assange. He is still in Britain challenging, or I think he succeeded. There was an attempt by United States to extradite him from Britain to the United States. That lasted for 7 years. The effort to do so lasted for 7 years. Britain did not automatically send Assange to United States. Instead, they gave him a hearing, and he resisted that for a long time. You would wonder, why did they not give the same treatment to Nnamdi Kanu? Why would they not allow Nnamdi Kanu to challenge extradition by Nigerian government? We don't know, but one thing comes to mind. What happened in Nnamdi's case is more of extraordinary rendition. It's called a rendition, a special process through which countries could move rapidly people accused of involvement in terrorism. So if that happened, it may be because the British authorities is convinced that Nnamdi's activities amounted to terrorism. That could be it, because there was no extradition hearing, and I'm sure that Nnamdi would not have waived his right to extradition hearing. So he's in the country, and they've taken him to, he appeared in court today for the first time, but he was appearing on the old warrant. The old warrant was the previous charge that led to him being granted bail in April of 2017 before he ultimately left the country. So that warrant is still active. The warrant of arrest is still active. And that's what they are operating on at this moment. So he was presented in court, Federal High Court today, on the old charges. But this is what one can expect from the normal course of legal procedure. We can expect that Nigerian government is going to quickly amend the old charges and come up with a litany of charges against Nnamdi Kanu. Initially, their terrorism charge against him did not hold water and was rightly dismissed by court then, because there's no evidence to back up the claim that as of December 2015, Nnamdi Kanu was involved somehow in terrorism. That was a baseless charge, and the court had actually confirmed it was baseless. However, now they're looking at Nnamdi's activities since 2017, his utterances, his statements, his threats, all those things IPOB did or said it would do or actually said it was doing, like setting up ESN, which is a private militia in a country. All those things taken together, they will be able to come out with a very strong set of charges, which could include even murder charges, assuming you want to hold him, assuming the government wants to theorize that IPOB were behind the killing of anybody, assuming that's what they want to do, then of course they could say it was done on the instructions or leadership or direction of Nnamdi Kanu, and that could be expose him to responsibility for those murders. If they go that way, they will attach a range of charges involving murder, extortion, threats, violence, including warfare, which is treason. So, and then, initially, when Nnamdi was arrested in December 2015, IPOB was still not yet proscribed. It was still a legitimate organization, and because of that, it was difficult to say that being an IPOB member was a crime, insofar as IPOB was not then proscribed. However, IPOB has been proscribed. It has been proscribed by Nigerian government. Well, you may want to call Nigerian government a zoo. That's okay. But in international law, Nigeria is a sovereign nation. It has certain rights. There are things and certain powers and authorities under international law. And those powers will include the power to prosecute, try, convict, and sentence Nnamdi Kanu. So, the interesting thing today is that the court ordered that Nnamdi Kanu be detained at the DSS facility. The last time he was detained in a regular prison. Being in a prison has several latitudes and freedoms and privileges and rights that are not available to those in police custodies or in DSS custodies. The prison is a much well and better regulated detention facility. Indeed, it is a correctional facility. But when you go to the DSS detention center, you don't have the privilege. You don't have indeed they will be grilling you, I'm sure, that for them to convince the judge to detain Nnamdi at DSS facilities, they must have been able to say things like, hey, we have serious investigation going on. Our officers and our experts are going to be interrogating this suspect for a long time. And the best place to do so is in our facility, not in the prison. That's the kind of thing they must have done. They must have convinced the judge that there's an ongoing investigation, it is complex, and the information involved in it is discreet, and it requires expert handling. Therefore, they would detain him at their facility. One of the reasons. Another reason they could have given the judge is that, hey, this guy is highly dangerous and capable of escaping, and if you put him in prison, we are not sure he will not break and run again, because you must know that any argument made in Nnamdi's case, Nnamdi's detention hearing, will emphasize on the fact that he was once granted bail and he fled. That is a very serious consideration when it comes to bail issues. We were once granted bail and you jumped bail, leading to a bench warrant. Okay, once that happens to you, you're in trouble. Look at the case of Minor. Minor was granted bail. He left and went to Nigeria. He was captured and he's still in prison. Minor. So, once you've jumped bail, It's difficult to get the court to trust that you'll be granted bail. Another thing is this: if you're on bail and you carry out an act which is grievous, like some of the utterances Nnamdi Kanu was making, it could be considered that if this guy was given bail and he could cause so much trouble, perhaps it's not wise to give him more bail. So that's it. Another thing which people may consider, I don't know the extent it will play, was if you live in Nnamdi in a regular prison, he could go there and still again mobilizing people, dividing inmate population into Biafrans and non-Biafrans. So you don't want to do that. They will argue that this guy is extremely capable of mobilizing people, igniting passion, and he's done it so many times. He was able to mobilize thousands of youths who were willing to die for him. There's nothing that stops him from doing that in the prison, mobilizing people and organizing possibly a jailbreak. So we want to keep him in a special facility. These are possibilities. So Nnamdi is going to go in. He's in now. So charges will be amended. And as you know very well, in Nigeria, trials take a very long time. Trials take a very, very long time. And government cannot always be trusted to allow the judges to make the decision. Nnamdi's case is highly political. In addition to the fact that they will be able to file charges, there are political elements to this case, which is good and bad. The political element is bad because decisions to be made here may not be the decisions of judges alone. There will be political interference in the adjudication process. That is the bad side. That's the bad side for Nnamdi. But the good side of that political factor is that this matter, his case, could be resolved through political deal or political intervention. In fact, I am expecting that in the next 1 or 2 years, Igbo politicians, Igbo leaders like Ohaneze and Co. will all come together and say, hey, even though we never supported Nnamdi Kanu, even though he was wrong, but because of the fact that Biafra was mentioned in his agitation, because of the effect of Biafra, that whatever happens, people will see Biafra involved. Therefore, in the interest of Biafra, in the interest of unity, in the interest of one Nigeria that we are campaigning for, let us let him go. And the federal government will say, okay, we're going to let him go on the following terms. 1, he must renounce any further claims to Biafra. He must agree to certain terms and conditions. He must do this. So they can do that. And if that is done, Nnamdi might go free. Otherwise, if there is no political deal, then you can expect Nnamdi to be in detention for the next 25 years at least. How is that? Because they will surely convict him. And why would they convict him? Because regardless of evidence, there's political interest in his case. Nnamdi Kanu doesn't have friends. That's what many people don't know. Nnamdi Kanu doesn't have friends. Those who seemed to respect, to even pay attention to him, were either scared of him. All the Igbo governors were scared of him because he could mobilize votes. He is popular, he has a lot of support. So the Igbos could not, the Igbo governors were basically afraid of him, but they don't like him. Not at all. And we believe that the Operation Python Dance was actually on the invitation of the Igbo governors. So you got to understand, the Igbo governors are not, a lot of people in Igbo land, Igbo leaders are happy that Nnamdi is arrested. They should be happy that Nnamdi is arrested because this was a guy who was fomenting disruption for them in their area, okay? That may not necessarily be right. Some of the things IPOB was agitating for or was hammering on were true. Misgovernance by the governors, even though the motive of IPOB remains questionable. But now these governors are going to breathe easy. Nnamdi is out of the way. Ohaneze which have been rattled with threats of stoning of their leadership, they too will breathe easy because Nnamdi is down. So, but ultimately, the Igbos will not allow him to stay there forever. So in 5 years' time, a deal will be struck and he will be out, okay? If Nnamdi wants to come out faster, his hope will lie in the activities of his lieutenants. If his lieutenants could continue to mobilize their members, they have a large number, millions of people supported. We know that. We saw that even in our group. Because of him, people who would never have insulted me were able to insult me openly. You know, we also had a case of a man who killed his father in Aba because he felt his father was not supporting IPOB well enough. So you have fanaticism, you have passion built into these people. So if they can sustain it without Nnamdi's radio, because now Nnamdi is not going to be broadcasting new radios, he's not going to be making any posts, he's not going to be communicating, I can tell you that. So, but if the people behind him, like Emma Powerful and others, can continue to mobilize and create awareness and have millions of people whom they can control their voting choices, if they can do that, then they might be able to get sympathies from Igbo politicians sooner who would like to leverage on their popularity. That is a possibility. But again, I don't think that Nnamdi's followers are going to do much because IPOB, the way it was run, it was so centered on one man. Without Nnamdi, there will be no IPOB, I can tell you that. Without Nnamdi Kanu, no IPOB. So, I believe that IPOB is going to fizzle out because of the absence of its very vocal, outspoken leader. Others that remain, like Emma Powerful, those that are outside, will learn a lesson from the arrest and the extraordinary rendition of Nnamdi Kanu, because it means that could happen to them as well. So, it is quite a very, complex and sudden development that Nnamdi Kanu is now in the hands of Nigerian authorities and far away from his radio, far away from his broadcasts. So, but we also expect that tension will begin to cool down in the East. ESN will be out of the way. They will pose no further threats to anybody. And by the way, you must understand that there was really nothing like ESN. It was a bunch of little people that Nnamdi put together and made a video, manipulated videos and talked about 5,000 army. All that sort of thing. And many people fell for it. There couldn't have been ESN. Where was their training ground? How could they mobilize? How do you mobilize 5,000 people and people wouldn't know? So all that kind of thing was the use of technology to manipulate and confuse the people and get them to believe that there was an army of 5,000 people. But that wasn't true. And that was why the Nigerian government also knew it wasn't true. That was why they sent policemen. It took 11 policemen to dislodge the whole of ESN. So what does that tell you? They didn't even bother to send soldiers at all. Anyway, we are going to continue to monitor this development, and we will make more posts, and we just hope that the activities of the security forces in the East that has been resulting in shootouts and the killing of people and extrajudicial executions will stop now. The whole goal was to stop the killing in the East. The whole goal was to allow the people in the East to have some peace. And then, of course, the herdsmen. The herdsmen menace must stop completely. There's no justification for our governors and our politicians to allow herdsmen to go killing people in our lands, in our places. No, it should stop. The same policemen sent after ESN should now focus on the herdsmen. Arrest them, do to them as you did ESN fighters. Remove them by all means, okay? Let there be peace in the East. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll continue later.